Welcome back, boys. If we want to score more points in Madden 26, calling RPOs just like this against meta defenses and getting big plays every single time you call them, continue to watch the entire video. Alright, boys, as far as playbook and personnel goes, we're going to focus on the Chiefs offense along with some of the Jags offensive RPOs that I'll be calling. And then as far as our personnel-wise, I mean, really, you just want a running back with joystick or any speed or burst ability, if he hits that certain COD threshold. And then also, you want to make sure your outside receivers or your slot receivers, whoever we're getting the ball to, you want to make sure they can speed boost and they're fast. And if you got extra AP on offense, maybe put some joystick on them too. But there's the personnel, guys, and I'll see you guys in the videos. All right, boys. So in this section, I kind of want to just give you guys a quick little overview of RPOs and kind of what they do and how to utilize them a little easier. We're going to go kind of deeper into all these later, but you can see here, in Wild Trips Nasty, we have an RPO read Y flat. That is an RPO read. That means there's going to be a read key on one of the ends or the slot corners, which you guys will see later in the videos. But you can see here, there's a bunch of RPOs to call. There's zone alerts just right there. And then if we keep moving around, they got another RPO alert bubble. That's another one, the alert bubble. It's a big one. There's the alert Omahas, the alert, what is the other one? Alert glances. There's a million different RPOs to call. I feel like in Chiefs playbook, at least every single formation has one that you can see here. We have auto motion RPO read sticks with routes. And what you're going to look for is on any RPO with multiple routes going out. So like, for example, this play right here, Troy flex strong, RPO peak slant. We can hot route now in this new Madden 26. We can hot route those RPOs. So any of those three routes can now go down the field and actually be changed out there, right? So we can build plays and stuff like that. Well, now, what EA kind of messed up on by allowing us to hot route RPOs is typically this RPO alert bubble right here, you would not be able to hot route it. Even though it does have two routes, you would not be able to hot route it, right? But we can do a little glitchy thing to make it so you can now hot route that. No RPOs in this bunch, but RPO zone read bubble. So yeah, RPOs have a different way of being used because you can run the ball with them. Even though most of the handoffs are pretty bad, like this bunch strong nasty one used to be insane in Madden 24, I believe. It was like an insane handoff, good at running. They've actually slowed down how fast you can hand the ball off in them. I think it was number one to kind of nerf them from being the most called run plays. Now you actually have to call inside zones and outside zones and any other shotgun runs to move the ball effectively with the run game. Whereas I think they also kind of buffed RPOs in the sense that you can actually get some time to pass, because before, if we could hot route on RPOs in Madden 24 and we called this one right here, this Trey Y flex strong, we would not get enough time because the handoff would be too fast and we would not be able to get the ball off. So that's one thing to look at. I'll go kind of deeper into that when we get to that section of the video, but there's a little intro, man. There's a bunch of different RPOs and they'll have different uses and stuff, and you guys will learn how to use them in this video. All right, boys, we're going to start off the RPOs with the RPO alert bubbles, man. So pretty much the goal of this is to put a flat on that receiver so we actually get the blocking, the good blockers on the outside right there. You can see in the play art. And then we'll actually be able to rack it a lot easier and get to the sideline way better and score a lot more big yards, right? Now, one issue about this is certain RPOs, if we come out here, I can't hot route. I'm spamming the triangle button, the Y button, whatever. I cannot hot route either of these players, right? It's annoying. I have to call the actual bubble, which the actual bubble isn't that bad. It's not as good as the flat, but it can be better in certain cases, which I'll show you guys later. But basically, this one, we're going to have to get a little glitchy. For some reason, you cannot hot route in that RPO except if you audible to it. So I'm going to come out in Bunch X Nasty. Right now we're in the Chiefs offensive playbook. Got the whole guy in it, all that type of stuff. We're going to come out here. We're going to audible to it right here in Trio Y Flex. And we're going to put Deion Sanders on a flat route, just like that. Literally just hot route him and put him on a flat. Now we can even change John Parham. I actually like that route he's on, so I'm going to leave him. But if I wanted to, I could put him on a post. I could put him on a drag, put him on a streak, do whatever with him, right? But this certain exact RPO right here in the Chiefs playbook, I'll leave it like that. And then you'll see here, we have numbers on the sideline, or numbers on the left side. That's because I didn't flip my defense. Probably should do that. But as you can see, this is against Tampa 2 Alliance at mid blitz. So that safety is manned up to Deion Sanders, and he has no chance. He, unfortunately, does not have a chance. As you can see there, you get a little flashbang action. I'll tell you why that happens. It's because when I want to get a better rack on my RPOs, I actually freeform it to the sideline. So I don't pass lead, I freeform it. So this is what happens sometimes when you pass lead it. You're going to get it like that. And that was actually a good catch animation. But sometimes when you just straight up pass lead with only the left stick and not the left trigger as well, you'll get bad animations. You won't get a good rack. It'll kind of mess up the flow, right? But if I freeform it to the outside every single time, so right here I'm going to use the left stick and the left stick and the left trigger, hold those both down. Let's get an actual good freeform animation. That's going to give us, well, if you blue pass it like that, you will get flashbanged, which is a little unfortunate. That's, you know, part of getting yards in Madden, man. You gotta do it for little flashbangs here and there. But it's going to let us get a good rack every single time. You have to get unlucky to freeform it and get a bad rack, essentially. So that's why we do that, so we can get that rack right there. And as long as Malik Neighbors holds his block, we would score there, but he didn't, so unfortunately we didn't, right? But that's why I do that. And then another thing I do is I play around with untargeting on these. So that's another big thing about these. You can play with the untargeting feature. It's like right here, I'm going to flip, and you're going to see we have hat on a hat. This is man aligned, so cover 0. If they just came out in stock mid blitz with no shell, this is how it would line up versus the trips, right? And you're going to see here, that player is actually going to have a better chance of guarding it now because, you know, he's all up and close on us. He might get shipped right here. He actually didn't get shipped, but he took a bad angle. That's a funny thing. They just always take a bad angle too. That's what's funny about RPOs. The defense has just no idea how to stop him. But you're going to see here, he actually had like a chance, right? If he played it better, he could have, you know, stopped that. But one thing we're going to do, since it's man aligned, and we know, like, no one's ever running man aligned zone on us. If you ever play man aligned zone, you're playing a demon. All we're going to do is untarget the defender lined up over Chad Johnson. The reason I do this is if I'm going against man-to-man, or, well, if I know for sure I'm going against man, so if they've been spamming man on me and stuff like that, or if it's man aligned like this, I untarget the slot using up on the right stick and then moving it right over Champ Bailey, our slot corner. And what that's going to do is it's going to make Chad Johnson, our blocker, his assignments to block on this play, he's going to completely avoid Champ Bailey, and he's either going to guard Flott, the safety, who's manned up to the running back, or the slot corner, manned up to Deion Sanders, right? We'll actually move Flott right here, so pretty sure that'll make it so he actually always picks up whoever's manned up to Deion Sanders. Hike it right here. Boom, just like that. Perfect representation of what I'm talking about. I'll show you in the instant replay. So before, when we were calling the RPO, the player manned up on Deion Sanders was not getting blocked. He was just playing it poorly, right? But now he's actually getting blocked. Now he really has no chance at all to stop this. He's taken out of the play. Trevon Diggs, no chance, and we're going to get a huge gain off that, right? So that is how I use untargeting. That is one of the best features in the game to use on really any run or pass play. It's very, very OP, honestly. But yeah, that's how we're getting that done. And then versus more of a zone look. So that's what I do versus man. I untarget the guy, the slot corner typically, in man. When I'm going against more of a zone look, I mean, if they're doing like Champ Bailey in a hard flat, right? I would obviously want to go ahead and, you know, make sure Champ Bailey's not going to be untargeted, because if I untarget him, like if I untarget him versus this look, he's actually going to be unblocked and he's going to play it, and we're going to not get tackled for 2-yard gain, but should have been tackled for a 1-yard to 2-yard gain, right? So in that case, we don't want our slot corner, we don't want our slot receiver to get glitched out, right? We want him to always block Champ Bailey if he's going to be in a hard flat, right? That just makes obvious sense. So let's set the same defense, just like this, same cover 3 with a hard flat over there. Now we're either going to just not on target. You know, if you don't feel comfortable on targeting, that's fine. You don't have to. But just to make sure that slot corner is going to get blocked, I actually like untargeting the safety. So now I know for sure Chad Johnson has no chance of ever blocking that safety. He has no reason to. No one's going to block that safety, right? And, I mean, for most of the time the running zone, I mean, that safety is going to be in a deep blue. He's going to be in a deep third or deep quarter, deep half maybe. He's not going to run down to Deion Sanders in a, 0-yard flat, right? So we're going to hike this. Champ Bailey now gets blocked perfectly, and we get to the outside, and now we are running that safety we untargeted, right? That's basically what I do when I call the RPO bubbles. It's pretty much trying to find who could actually play it, who can actually go ahead and stop this bubble. And in this case right here, it's not going to be Flott. He's going to be in deep third. Maybe if they played some crazy defense like this, maybe they would get us. But then if we called any passing play in the entire existence of Madden, we would score a touchdown, right? So not going to place that or face that too often. So yeah. And then one other thing people try and do is just put him over the linebacker like this. If they do this, then you're kind of screwed, to be honest. But when people actually do this, then we can just hand the ball off too. That is the next part of this. The next part of this is that we can just hand the ball off. Just simple, boom. It is still a run play. I did mention in the introduction that the handoff is slower than normal run. So you can see here, I'll actually come out in it just to make it simpler. the handoff is worse. It is slower, but you know, that does kind of help us to some extent because we get more time to make our pass or make our read, right? You're going to see here, this inside zone handoff, way faster. We're going to be able to get more yards on it. Not right there, but you get the idea, right? But when we call this RPO, it's going to be a little slower. I mean, you know, it actually kind of worked out better there because that linebacker ran away from it. If you didn't see that linebacker, Antoine Winfield, this is what happens sometimes too. If like you're playing an opponent who's pass committing or something like that, this hook curl is going to run away. So even though he's supposed to play the run, I mean, that's an RPO. He probably should be playing the run here. He's going to back up because it is a pass option, and we're actually going to be able to get yards that way. So that's another way to utilize these RPO alert bubbles is just simply hand the ball off. And you want, this is big, you want to make sure you're handing the ball off to the strong side of your quarterback's handoff. So what I mean by that is if we add Josh Allen here, right, we have Josh Allen, he's a right-handed quarterback. He's going to hand off faster to the left. If we're going running back right to the left, he's going to hand it off faster. You can see here, we're going to call inside zone just like this. Going to the left, this is going to be a slow handoff because he's going from left to right now. See there, boom. Aiden Hutchinson, who came in free, just tackles us because it's such a slow handoff. We can't really get much sauce or any motion there. And the same thing would happen too if we call the RPO. It's going to be even slower of a handoff now. It's actually going to mess up the angle of which you pass it too. So if you didn't see that, this happens a lot if you try and go the opposite side of your quarterback's handoff. He's going to do like some spin animation when he's handing the ball off. This is like, you just don't want this. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson, if he just tackled us, the play would be over. We would not be able to get off. So that's why you see most pros, most elite players, they're calling their RPOs to the left side because, I mean, typically all the good quarterbacks in the game are lefty, or righty, I should say. So we're all going to be calling our RPOs to the left side of the field. Everyone spams that bunch side and RPO a lot. That's what they all call it, and they all call it to the left. So that's what to look for. And then also there's certain RPOs that you don't have to audible to hot route. So like this bunch wide flex one right here, in the Chiefs playbook, obviously. You're going to see here, we can put them on a flat just like this, and we didn't have to audible or anything, right? Just didn't have to audible. I know the trip side and flex RPO is very similar to this, where you can actually just come out and hike it like that, right? You just come out in the formation, hike it. But if we were to audible to it, you know, if we did the same thing we were doing to be able to hot route the other one and just came over here, I can't hot route. I'm doing the same thing I was doing to hot route the true Y flex RPO. I'm spamming the Y button. Nothing's happening. I can't do it, right? So that's one thing to look for. If you don't run the Chiefs playbook, definitely investigate your playbook. Notice all the different RPOs you have, all the different RPO alert bubbles, and see which ones you have to audible to hot route and which ones you can just come out in and hot route. So that's a complete breakdown of RPO alert bubbles, and I'll see you guys in the next tip. All right, boys, we're now in the RPO read Y flat section of it. Now, the main thing you want to focus on is the RPO read because there's RPO read bubbles and RPO read by flat. I believe that's it, but just RPO read. That means it's a read option with the running back and the quarterback. And then they also still have a bubble or a flat in this case, Y flat goal in the read by flat. And it's basically just that. It's a read option now. Instead of an inside zone, which I believe is what like the RPO alert bubbles are. I believe that's just supposed to be like an inside zone right here. I believe that's supposed to be an inside zone with like the option of like the pass, right? This one is a read option. So let's go over here. The difference mainly is the fact that there is now an R over the lineman, right? You can see there's an R and a P when we go to show our play art by holding right trigger, an R and a P. R means they're playing the run, so you know the quarterback and the running back, whether I hold it or keep it or hand it off, he is going to play him. And then P on Champ Bailey means he's going to play the pass. Now, does he always play the pass? Yes, but sometimes we will, get him blocked by Chad Johnson. I'll show you guys that. But right here, I'm going to show you guys that even if that if that defensive end is in a hard flat and he has the R over him, it does not matter. He will not get blocked, or he will not go play the RPO, I should say. He will get unblocked because he always will be unblocked if he has the read. And he just won't be able to play anything because he is playing the quarterback and the running back, right? So we can do that as many times as you want. You can change as many settings. I know they added coaching adjustments this year to try and stop this. They don't work. Don't worry about it. If you see an R, he will not be playing the pass. He will only play the run, right? And one thing you got to know about the RPO reads that I should mention is there's a tell. So what I mean by that is, as you can see here, it shows my running back is X, which is A on Xbox. It shows my tight end is Y, and then the receivers, I believe, don't change. But if I were to call any other play, if I called, this motion drag play, my running back and my tight end are flipped. My running back is now Y, my tight end is X. If I call this PA double post play, same thing, running back Y, tight end X. It's only on this read Y flat that the running back is X, and that's because he's our handoff. When you want to keep it, you hold down X, but if you want to just hand it off, you don't touch anything. I still mix that up. They changed that randomly last year. I still mix it up. So if you want to hand it off, do not touch a thing. Don't throw the ball. You'll be able to hand it off and get bagged by mid blitz, right? And if you want to keep it, this is a big thing. If you want to keep it, you hold down X. Now, we don't want to keep it if they aren't playing the quarterback. So you can see here, the defense has an option to either play the quarterback or play the running back. If they play the quarterback and we hold it, we're going to get, not really the best results ever. We're going to run into Zadarius Smith, who's 96 speed, and get put down, right? But let's back these guys out so they don't stop the run. If we go over, do the same thing, an option running back, now that defensive end will come in free to play the running back, and we can just hold it and, run for a couple yards. Now, typically, that's not going to be the most OP thing ever. It's very good to mix in if they're fully committing to the flat and the running back. Then you can run the quarterback. I wouldn't really call it a staple of it, but that is an option because it is an RPO read. So, there you guys go. And I would say I like calling the RPO read off flat more against mid blitz because against dollar, you kind of run into some issues where, hard flats kind of stop it, unfortunately. Hate that part about the game, man, that hard flats stop RPOs. Let's call this real quick. RPO read off flat. If we literally just played shade down cover 4, it's going to do a pretty good job. The blocking on these RPO reads is not as good as RPO alerts. I feel like right here you're going to see Chad Johnson. He's supposed to block Champ Bailey, obviously, or whoever that is, my slot corner, who's right above him. And, he's just going to walk right past him. So that's going to be a little unfortunate. We can try and do some untargeting to avoid this. Let's say we try and do the same untargets we were doing on the RPO alert bubble. We untarget the safety, right? And if they just run shade down cover 4 again, it's not going to be the best outcome. That dude's going to play it very, very well. So I would say this is more of something I mix in versus compressed sets, So like a defense like dollar, not the move, right? But, let's say I'm going against 6-1 or something, right? Let's say, I don't know exactly how the read key lines up versus this. I think versus certain alignments, right? You want to make sure where that R is. So see, the R is on the defensive end. We don't want that. We want the R. Let's go right here. We want the R on the guy who's actually going to be in the flat, right? So let's say they shift D-line just to show it. You can see now the R is on the linebacker, right? He will not play the pass. We can throw it like that on him every single time. They've done a better job since Madden 25 of actually making it so like the not read key actually plays well. So like I'm pretty sure like shade down cover 4 from this will actually play decently. Yeah, see, he'll just come in free and stop it. So really, I would abuse this more versus man-to-man or compressed sets where we're actually going to get that read key on the hard flat, not the defensive end. You want the read key to be on the hard flat to really get this offense moving, So again, we can go back to mid blitz like I initially started with. You're going to see here, mid blitz, that slot corner is a man-to-man. If he was in a hard flat, he would have a better chance of playing it, but against man, we're just gone, right? We are just gone versus man. They got to do some adjustments. They got to put some hard flats out there, get a little busy and all that. But yeah, this I think would do a decent job against it. Yeah, see, pretty much any hard flat does a decent job. So that kind of does the trick. You just got to really be wary of where the read key is and if they're playing the quarterback or the running back. So like I said, let's say they're caging it. They play the running back. Boom, we're gone with Josh Allen. We can still throw it too. Well, not that late, but you can still throw it even after you hold it. You might get an illegal man downfield, but you can get busy in the run game with them. So there you guys go. And now I'll show you the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, boys. Now this is the RPO in the Jaguars playbook. It's the RPO read bubble in bunch tight end week. This is actually new in the last update. Whole formation completely added to go along with all the other great plays in this playbook. So not mad at that. You actually cannot come out in it because if you come out in it, you will not be able to hard flat or put them on a flat, I should say. So we're gonna have to go over to bunch, come out in bunch first, and then audible to it. Shouldn't be too hard. But as you can see here, we go to it, right? Put them on a flat. We're going to have that that left end right there, Aiden Hutchinson. He's in the read key, so he will not play the bubble no matter what they do. He can be in any zone possible. He will never play it. We just have to worry about that slot corner, which they didn't have there because I forgot to flip. So let's go ahead. Flip now. Honestly, this slot corner, from the testing I've done, he actually does a pretty good job of slowing it down, especially if he's in a hard flat. Like if he's in a hard flat, he actually does a pretty good job of playing it, like he's there, obviously didn't play it, but like he's there, and yeah, so this one, I think it's pretty similar to the RPO read by flat where we want to mostly call this against man looks, or more like a 3-4 odd, 6-1 compressed defenses, or man looks. Because from the looks of it, man, a slot corner and a hard flat or purple, he's there. He's not making the plays right now in P mode, but he's kind of there. You can still call this and get some yards, but we mainly should be wanting to call RPO reads, especially this read bubble right here, against man-to-man, where that safety's manned up to him, that tight end's in the read key, so he's not going to be able to shoot it, and we can just pass it outside, leave it like that. Safety will not have a chance to play him, so yeah, that's how you want to run this. Really similar to read by flat, where we want to go against compressed sets and min looks. So there you go, boys, just like that, and I'll see you guys in the next section. All right, so I've shown you guys how to throw bubbles and flats, right? But now, how do we get actually a little glitchy with these? I mean, that stuff's pretty glitchy, to be honest, but how do we actually get some big plays passing with this? So I mentioned in the introduction that there's RPOs that have full routes or several routes on a play that you can all hot route them, right? Like you can hot route all of them. So like the zone alert, you can hot route 3 routes, right? The main one I want to focus on, at least in the Chiefs playbook, is this Trey Y flex RPO alert Omaha. We aren't trying to throw a bubble here. As you can see, we have no blockers, just all passers, right? So let's go ahead, call literally any zone coverage, right? Let's actually move it to the other hash before I forget to. And we can just simply put everyone on a route. We can put everyone on a streak if we want to. And the cool thing is, the zones play really shallow, especially if they're close, like in mid blitz, like in this. Let's say they're running like the defense I kind of taught you guys out of 3-3 double mug. Let's say they're running cover 3 out of it, right? Everyone's going to be super shallow, and we can just throw down a palm down the field, man. We can put them on a streak, and those hooks are going to stay super, super shallow, just like this. And you can fit in passes over the top. You can see we even blocked our user. Nick Amanawari, who we accidentally used with that play, he got blocked. The slot corner over here actually played okay. But this linebacker, man, it's like real life. He's getting caught, man. He's not trying to run back as fast. He's just trying to play the run and the pass. But yeah, man, we can really just set up different plays like this. I don't really have many advanced setups out of this type of stuff. It really is a lot of it just streak, because we want to take advantage of the zones being super close, Maybe even a play like this, putting the tight end on a post, putting Malik Neighbors on like a stem down corner, and we can just throw this against any like third or anything like that with not really much of a worry against yellows, and we're going to be living a pretty lavish life. Now, I mentioned earlier how handoffs are faster to the left than the right. So you can see here, we're under like a bit of a timer. Like let's say we threw it late. That was actually good timing right there. But if we threw that any later, he would just hand the ball off and we would not be able to make our read. So just like this, boom. I hit A, and now we're stiff arming. We're stiff arming instead of throwing our tight end, right? So if you want to call this and actually get a little more time, let's go ahead, move it all the way back over here. You want to call your trips to the wide side. You don't want to be calling all your stuff short side, stuff like that. We can flip it to get more space, like I just mentioned. And now we're actually going to get a lot more time to actually make a read. He's going to take forever to hand it off, and we can throw that super late. That was so late, and we still could have waited even longer to throw that. Now, that right there, you can really make a read on. Let me actually go over here and just flip it. When you have that much time to make a read on it, not many people are going to miss wide open players like that. You should be able to make the read downfield. Everyone's coming close. All the linebackers get blocked. Shan Bailey actually makes an insane play on that, but you can see there, man. We're just taking advantage of all those linebackers in the middle, just playing down low, and now we can just throw streaks, man. That does happen a lot right there. That is part of the issue of RPOs, is sometimes, you might get screamed at from a random pressure from Farrell or whatever his name is. But most of the time, man, you're going to get a lot of time, fit in that streak down the field, and get crazy. I don't really have too much to go over. There's no one targeting, no secret sauce to this. It's kind of just call RPO peaks, I believe they're called. Yeah, RPO peaks. And then you're going to get some nice dots out of it. And now I'll show you the one in Jaguars. All right, boys, this RPO motion zone alert in the Jaguars playbook, this is one of my favorite RPOs in the entire game because it's in Bunch X Nasty. It's not in Chiefs, obviously. It's in the Jaguars playbook. But we have we have a full bunch or whatever, right? And then we also just have a glitchy RPO to go with it. I mean, what really more can you ask from it, So we come out here, we can put really anything on the field and it'll work. You can leave it stock. I think a big thing I was doing at the beginning of the year was leaving it stock. Trying to fit it in versus any type of zone. I actually didn't get the pass off because, again, you guys might remember, or should remember, that if the handoff is this way, we really don't want to be handed off, or we don't want to be trying to pass out of this from this look. We want to call it more flip so we get more time to throw it. So against a look like this, where we leave it like this, you can do this, but this is more of like a week one type of ordeal. It's still cool, still going to get you some yards. But now we're kind of on that new stuff to where, let's actually respot it real quick. So we can actually run it to the right way and actually have some space. Let's go ahead and recall it. When we put that receiver in motion, when we put him on the flat, he's going to be doing pretty well. He's going to be in a really, really good situation versus a lot of coverages where we can literally do a play like this. You know, just a corner out stem down on Dion. You know, we got the tight end blocking already. We can't change that, unfortunately. But then we have the flat on circle. Got that. We're just going to pass that out just like this. And that's not corner. Unless they pass commit, he's not going to do anything about that. He's too committed to the run. He's going to be caught up. We can call it again. He's chopping his feet. You know, he's playing Josh Jacobs inside zone. He's not worried about some flats to the sidelines, you know. And we can actually go ahead and pass commit. That will change it. He'll actually play it this time, but yeah, pretty much, man, unless he's pass committed just like that, even then, if he's not in a hard flat, he's still going to have a very tough time to play it in a purple pass committed, which is nuts, what you have to do to stop RPOs in this game. But yeah, man. And then even if they do that too, we can just snap Deion Sanders in between all the zones like that. So that's one way I really run this. I know there's other versions other people do where, you know, they do like streak and slot fade. I personally just like this setup where really you put anything on the solo side and then you have a slot corner from the slot and the flat. You know, that's kind of my bread and butter. That's really what I kind of rock with when I call this. So there you guys go, man. And yeah, if you guys want to learn how to stop these RPOs, I think if you guys comment enough and like this video enough, I'll make a video on how to stop all these RPOs and another tip video. So there you guys go. Have fun abusing these online, and I'll see you guys in the next video.